My name is Bruno Sade from brunosade.com. Today's video is about tapping on grief waves. A few weeks ago, I did a video that was titled A Few Thoughts on How to Use EFT on Grief, where I mentioned that grief tends to come in waves, meaning that we might feel relatively okay for a couple of days, weeks, or months, and then suddenly perhaps there's a certain date coming up, such as an anniversary, or we stumble upon a photograph of the person we lost, and then we are hit with a wave of grief. So I'm going to talk about two ways that we can tap on these grief waves. The first one is continuous tapping without any words. Basically, the idea being that when we are already tuned in to that which we are feeling, we don't necessarily need to use words when we tap, because at the end of the day, the words are about helping us tune in and connect and zero in and focus on that which we want to tap on and clear. So let's say that you are in the middle of one of these grief waves and perhaps you are even crying, you find yourself crying. In my experience, in those moments, especially when crying, just doing continuous tapping is very helpful, tends to be very helpful. And it's not about trying to make the crying go away. It's simply, what I like to say is, think what you think, like continue thinking what you would be naturally thinking and feeling what you are feeling, and simply add tapping, continuous tapping to this routine. In my experience, whenever I found myself crying about something, especially if it's something connected to grief, when I do this continuous tapping, after a few minutes, I notice that some of that emotional charge tends to release, and I feel like I'm better able to surf or manage that wave of grief. So that's the first way, continuous tapping with no words. The second way is if we were to use basic EFT on these grief waves, it can be very useful to notice if there's any particular scene or memory that stands out compared to the others that might show up in a wave of grief. For example, let's say that the grief is about the loss of a romantic relationship. Then maybe it could be a memory of that person, perhaps either a happy memory that now makes you feel sad, or a negative memory to begin with, like the memory of a fight or argument with that person. Or it could even be like imagining the scene of your ex-romantic partner having fun with their new romantic partner, or even taking them to meet their parents, etc., something like that, that brings up some high emotional charge. Or it could be even a what if scene. What would we be doing right now if we were still together? And maybe when thinking about that, that also brings up some sadness or sorrow or regret. And it can be very useful when doing basic EFT to ask ourselves, what part of this scene seems to have the most emotional charge? And what's the emotion or feeling or sensation that I feel right now when thinking about that aspect, that part of this scene? And where in my body do I feel this emotion or feeling? This would be like the basic ingredients to do basic EFT. And then after doing one or two rounds, focusing on this one aspect of that scene, we can stop to reassess again what part of this memory or scene now seems to have the most emotional charge. Chances are it's going to be a different aspect, because that's what tends to happen when we do EFT, that we start tapping on an aspect of that memory or scene, and then another one comes to the forefront, which means that the intensity about the first one has diminished enough that now another one is coming to the forefront. And we can then make that the focus for the next couple of rounds of tapping. So keep doing this until you feel like that scene holds no emotional charge anymore, or until you feel like you've done enough tapping for the day. If at any point you notice other memories or scenes coming up, what I recommend you do in that case is perhaps, if you can, to maybe make a note of them, but keep tapping on the original scene you were tapping on the first scene you were tapping on. Or in any case, do maybe one or two rounds of tapping on the new memory that showed up. But whenever possible, go back to focusing again on the first scene you were tapping on. In that way, we diminish the possibility of becoming overwhelmed trying to tap on too many scenes all at once. So like I said in that other video, this is how we can apply EFT to these memories or scenes, both negative or positive, connected to the person that we lost or connected to whatever it is that we lost. And the idea with EFT is not that we will forget about that person, but that we will be able to remember them without as much pain, without as much emotional pain, and perhaps with a greater sense of connection, either to them or to the positive memories and learnings we got from that person or from that relationship. And so that these waves of grief, hopefully become less frequent, less intense, less tsunami-like, let's say, and will not last as long as they would if we didn't apply any tapping at all. And of course, if any of these memories or scenes feel like it might be too emotionally intense to tap on by yourself, or even perhaps they are traumatic memories to begin with, in that case, I recommend enlisting the aid of a certified practitioner, such as myself or someone else, so that they can help you tap on that and not have to do it all by yourself. So that's it for today. I hope this was useful, and I look forward to seeing you again in one of my next videos.